Okay, здравствуйте, товарищи. Back after a quick break. We're recording, right? Yes, we are recording. And ready to begin the trial part of this case, or this day. Don't know why it's taking so long to save. In any case, October 18th, 10 a.m., District Court, Courtroom Number 4. Rabble, 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 rabble. The court is now in session for the trial of Mr. Will Powers. The prosecution is ready, Your Honor. The defense is ready, Your Honor. Very well, Mr. Edgeworth, your opening statement, please. The prosecution will show the court that at 2:30 p.m. on October 15th, the defendant, Mr. Will Powers, killed fellow actor Jack Hammer at Studio 1 of the Global Studios. It is impossible for anyone else to have committed this heinous crime. The evidence presented during the trial will all point to this fact. I see. Very well. I would like to move on to your testimony. Mr. Edgeworth, the prosecution will call its first witness. First, I would like to call a familiar face to Detective Gumshoe, to the stand. Detective, if you would briefly describe the case to the court. Yes, sir. I'll explain with the guide map here. To understand this case, it's important to grasp the layout of the studio. See, here's the employee area. The actors do a run-through of their action sequences during the morning here. This is the main gate of the studios. The security lady that works there at studios was here at 1 p.m. that day. Past the security station, there's a gate, see? Past that are the studios. And here it is, Studio 1. This is the scene of the murder where the body was found. Now, on to the day of the murder, October 15th. There were only 3 people here. The victim, Jack Hammer, the defendant, Will Powers, and a young woman, the production assistant. All the production staff were in the employees' area until noon. Then, after lunch, the victim, Jack Hammer, went to Studio 1. Right after that, at 1 p.m., the security lady got to her guard station. Now jump ahead to later that day, 5 p.m. The production staff came to Studio 1 to perform a rehearsal. Needless to say, the rehearsal was cancelled. Okay, good. We're still recording. Sorry. The time of death was 2:30 p.m. The samurai spear was found lodged in the victim's chest. The samurai spear found lodged in the victim's chest was the murder weapon. That's the case in brief. Anyone want to hear that again? Should I listen to the whole thing again? Of course. No, we're going to skip it. I think I can probably remember that. So the murder weapon was a spear. How medieval. Samurai spear added to the court record. Your Honor, this case is quite simple if you ask one question, and that question is, what did the security lady at the guard station see? Understood. Let's call the security officer to the stand. Will the witness declare her name? My, aren't you a handsome fellow? I'm afraid I'm a bit flustered. Your name, please. Oh, dearie, no need for you to be so embarrassed. Just call me Grandma. Your name, please. Seems Edgeworth has had a bit of trouble getting witnesses to state their names. Wendy Oldbag, dearie. You can just call me Grandma. Okay, well, off she goes again. I'm sorry, I just can't keep up. Objection. I object to the witness's talkativeness. Objection sustained. The witness will refrain from rambling on the stand. I was just getting to the good part, dearie. Perhaps we can get to the testimony. Now, the witness was stationed at the main gate on the day of the murder, correct? Yes, sir, I was. To get to the scene of the murder, someone would have to pass by you? You know your stuff, dearie. You may begin with your testimony. She sure is one hell of an old bag. Witness testimony, witness's account. On the day of the murder, I arrived at the guard station at 1 p.m. Poor old Hammer and the rest had been doing a run-through since the morning. Well, I had some errands to run that morning. Anyway, it was 1 p.m. when I got to that guard station. I was at the main gate from then until 5 o'clock. Now, the murder happened at 2:30, right? Interesting to me because a certain man walked by at 2 p.m. It was Powers, that man right there heading towards the studio. You saw the defendant then, Very well. Let's begin with the cross-examination. Mr. Wright? Yes, Your Honor. Cross-examination, witness's account. On the day of the murder, blah blah blah. Hold it. So up until that time, anybody who wanted could go to the studio? Well, there wasn't a security guard at the gate, no. But the main gate was locked, dearie. You needed an employee card key to get in. Right, the card key I have. So what she's saying is no one who wasn't supposed to be could get in. Was there anyone in the studios when you arrived at the guard station? Blah 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 blah. Hold it. A run through. They were working on a scene between the Steel Samurai and the Evil Magistrate. They got the basics figured out by noon, and they were to use the afternoon for practice. Rehearsal was supposed to start at 5 o'clock. That's why poor old Hammer went to Studio 1 in the afternoon. So Powers was in his dressing room sleeping when he was supposed to be practicing? Talk about a laid-back hero. If there was a run-through in the morning, why did you only get there afternoon? Well, I had some errands to run that morning. What kind of errands? Oh, well, you know. Answer the question! Actually, I was watching poor Hammer and Powers. Observing, you know. Observing. Weren't you supposed to be at the guard station? Whippersnapper, I told you I locked the gate, didn't I? I did my job. I'm not sure your boss would see it that way. Anyway, I always watch Hammer's run-throughs. Always. I never missed one in all my years. Wow, I want to see a Steel Samurai run-through too. You could quit being a spirit medium and take up guard duty. Not a bad idea. Anyway, it was 1 when I got to the guard station. Did you see the victim then? I did see poor Did I see poor old Hammer? Nope. He'd already gone to the studio before I got back to the guard station. Tell us what happened next. I was at the main gate until I was at the main gate from then until 5 o'clock. So you were watching the whole time? No breaks? Not even a second? Of course. I am a professional, you know. Are you criticizing me for how I do my job, Whippersnapper? No, it's just after seeing you eat those donuts in the guard station yesterday. I can watch you eat donuts at the same time. Snapper Whapper. Old Oldbag is losing it, Nick. Why don't you raise an objection? So the witness was on duty throughout the whole afternoon, the whole time. Very well. What did you see? Now, the murder happened at 2:30 p.m., right? How do you know that? Oh, I have my ways. The overdressed young detective told me. I fed him some donuts, and he talked and talked. If you ask me, that detective isn't cut out for his job. Poor Detective Gumshoe, getting chewed out by a security guard. Interesting to me, because a certain man walked right by me at 2 o'clock. 2 o'clock, you sure? Sure as spit. Well, who was the man? Really, you should try not to get so excited at your age. You might strain something. Now, don't get your skivvies in a bunch. I'll tell you who it was. It was Powers. That man right there. He was heading towards the studio. Hold it. So you saw Mr. Powers? That's what I said. Got wax in your ear, Sonny? Nick, this is your chance. Yeah, time to pull out the secret weapon. I'll say it again. It was him. Of course. Then we get to yell. Objection! Let me get this straight, Oldbag. Miss Oldbag. You've been saying since yesterday you saw Powers, correct? But you're talking about the man in this photo, aren't you? Just a moment, right? Let me see that photo. What is this exactly? None other than the Steel Samurai, defender of Neo-Old-A Tokyo. And Miss Oldbag, is this the Mr. Powers that you saw? Of course. Didn't your mama teach you any sense, Sonny? Anyone can plainly see that's Powers, right? Yeah. Well, I wonder. True, Mr. Powers does play the role of the Steel Samurai. But that doesn't mean Mr. Powers is the Steel Samurai. I know that. I wasn't born yesterday. No one in the court is accusing you of that, Miss Witness. He's having trouble calling her Oldbag, apparently. However, you do not have proof that Mr. Powers was the person in this photo. You don't have proof that the person in this photo is Mr. Powers, do you? Nosy old man. Of course I have proof. What? Huh? Even Edgeworth is surprised. The prosecution would like to ask the witness, please make all your information known to the please make all the information in your possession ahead of make it all known in your possession ahead of time. I don't know why I had trouble with that. Anyway, moving on. How was I to know everybody would be so nosy? You should be ashamed, all of you. Anyway, I showed the photo to the young detective. He told me this isn't good evidence, pal. He didn't even give it a second look. Wow, Oldbag has left Edgeworth speechless. She's good. Let's hear your proof then. Witness testimony, the man in the photo. I never say anything I don't mean, mind you. That morning during the run-throughs of the action scene, I saw Powers trip and fall. He broke one of the props. It was a big mess. Apparently, he sprained his ankle pretty bad. Now look at that picture. You can see he's dragging his leg. See? Clear as day. That's how I know it was Powers. Happy? So he had a sprained ankle. Very well. Mr. Wright, you may cross-examine the witness. She's got to be hiding something. I'll press her until she squeals. Cross-examination of the man in the photo. I'll never say anything I don't mean. Hold it. Whippersnapper. Hey, I haven't said anything yet. I'll have you know I'm not pointing fingers at anybody behind our backs. Everything I've said is on the straight and narrow. The up and up. Youth today, always whining about each other, pointing fingers. It makes enough. Mr. Wright, please, for all our sakes, try not to upset the witness. I think Edgeworth has met his match. That morning during, anyway. Who was present at the run-through? Well, let's see. There was Mr. Powers, he's the Steel Samurai. Then poor Hammer, the evil magistrate, and me. What exactly were you doing? Observing? Just observing? What about the assistant? She was off moving backdrops around and such. She didn't see the run-through then. I saw Mr. Powers trip and fall. Trip and fall? Yes, you'd think he's supposed to be the Steel Samurai? What a laugh. So Powers sprained his ankle. I helped make it better for him, of course. You helped make it better? I kissed it where it hurt. Let's just skip over that part, shall we? Where was the assistant then? Oh, her? She was cleaning backdrops, I think. She didn't know about Powers' ankle. You may continue your testimony. He broke a prop? Sure he did. His own samurai spear. His samurai spear? The murder weapon? Luckily, I was there with my duct tape to fix it. This strikes me as significant detail. I better write this up in the court record. Samurai spear updated in the court record. Apparently, he sprained his ankle pretty bad. Was Mr. Powers' ankle badly sprained? Not so bad that he couldn't walk around. He went to his dressing room. To rest up after lunch. Thus the nap. Anyway, I saw him dragging his foot when he walked. Dragging his foot, okay. I think we've heard enough, haven't we, Your Honor? Well, there is one thing that bothers me, which is, where is this steel samurai costume now? Well, actually, we couldn't find it. We're looking, though. Anyway, that's not important. The witness did see the steel samurai, yes. And it is clear that the person in the steel samurai suit was Mr. Powers. I suppose that's right. Are you sure, Your Honor? Object. Hold it right there. We keep talking about possibilities, but we have to agree. We have to agree. This photo shows the steel samurai. Nowhere in this photo can we see Mr. Powers. The defense has a point. I also wonder if someone else not caught on camera could have killed Mr. Hammer. We have to consider that possibility also. Then allow me to remove that doubt from your mind, Your Honor. Will the witness continue her testimony, please? No need to ask twice. Witness's account continued. The time of poor Hammer's death was 2:30 p.m. True. The only person I saw go through the studio before then was Will Powers. No one else went there. If they had, I would have seen them. So if no one else went to the studio, then it would have been the steel samurai who did it. Mr. Wright, you may begin your cross-examination. Cross-examination when his account continued. The time of poor Hammer's death was 2:30 p.m. True. How do you know that? Didn't I just explain? I gave donuts to the young detective, and then, after some rubbish about being a secret pal, he told me everything. I see Detective Gumshoe shares his fellow officer's fondness for donuts. The only person I saw go to the studios then was Mr. Powers. Are you absolutely sure? Oh, quite, Sonny. Nobody suspicious looking passed by at all. Nobody suspicious looking? Right. No one else went in there. What about before you got to the guard station? You mean before 1? Why, everyone was in the employees area before then, and I locked the main gate so no one could get in. Not to mention, if they had, I would have seen them. Are you sure? The witness has answered the question. Anyone going into the studio would have to pass by the witness. That's right, Sonny. You let him have it, itchy boy. Old windbag sure has balls, or, well, you know what I mean. Old windbags have a way of skipping over important details after all. For that matter, entirely forgetting them. How convenient. Something for you to look forward to, perhaps. Okay, let's see here. This wasn't if they had, I would have seen. I think I have to present this because it's photo number 2. I'm not entirely sure where I present it though. I'm gonna take a stab. But, no, wait, I'm gonna do it at the last one.
Objection!
Yes, I was right. Hold on. Look at the photograph one more time. The photo was taken by the camera at the studios, correct? Yes, sir, Sonny. So, whenever someone passes by here, it automatically takes a picture. Yes, and here I thought you didn't know your head from a hole in the ground. Right, anyway. It's also true that the computer in the guard station records all security cam data. Oh, you know, if you wanted to work at the studio, we might have an opening. That very computer printed out this photo. Note that on the back of the photo are printed the words October 15th, 2 p.m. photo number 2. That even I know that means it was taken at 2 p.m. October 15th. Really sunny. Actually, I knew that too. The issue here is the bit at the end where it says photo number 2. Photo number 2? The computer only held one data for one photo that day. Don't you think that's odd? Shouldn't this photo be photo number 1 if it was really the only photo? Order! Oh, by the way, rival. Please tell the court what you mean by this, Mr. Wright. Actually, it's what I was going to ask the witness. This evidence shows that not one, but 2 people went to the studio that day. Yet there is only data here for one of the photos. Who could have erased the data for the other photo? Only someone with access to the security. The security lady herself. Eh? You watch your mouth, whippersnapper. The only person I saw that day was Mr. Powers. But the camera on the gate fired twice. That means 2 people went by. Oh, well, yes, that would seem to mean... Can the witness explain this to the court? I don't understand these newfangled computer things. Edgy boy, help. Huh? Believe me, I want to, but I don't know what this means either. Some help you are. You're a whippersnapper too. Whippersnapper? Something the matter, Miss Oldbag? Yes, that's right. I just remembered something. Let me guess. Someone else passed by the gate. Someone other than the Steel Samurai. Well, yes, I suppose you could put it that way. Sigh, I see. Your testimony, please. Every day, I finish up my guard duties. Every day, after I finish my guard duties, I have one important job to do. I go through the photos recorded on the security computer and check them. I throw out any photos that aren't suspicious looking, you see. Come to think of it, I'm throwing out a photo that day. Miss Oldbag, this is the first I've heard of this. Well, of course, honey, I only just remembered it. Well, anyway, Mr. Wright, please begin your cross-examination. Well, I'd say this is a turn for the unexpected, but I kind of expected this. Cross-examination of the other person. Hold it! Hold it! Hold it! There we go. The other job. That's right. I check all the people that passed by the main gate that day. I look closely at every one of the photos that the security camera takes. Do you back up all the security camera data? Well, they do keep telling me to, yes. But those computers are so frustrating. I throw out any photos that aren't suspicious looking. How exactly did you determine what isn't suspicious looking? Oh, you can tell by looking at their faces, for the most part. For the most part? This is a murder trial, Miss Oldbag. Well, I didn't touch that suspicious Will Powers looking photo. Suspicious looking Will Powers photo, did I? I think she's missing the point. Come to think of it, now I remember throwing out one photo that day. Well, who the heck was in the photo you erased? A fanboy? A fanboy? Steel Samurai fanboys, real freaks if you ask me. They get information about rehearsals from gosh knows where. They're always hanging around. One of them was there that day. Wait a second. Didn't you just say no one else could get in? I locked the main gates so no one could get in? Those were your words. Well, if you must know, there's a drain that goes into the employee area. The gate has been loose for a while. It leads outside, and, well, that's where they come in. They come in through the drain? I told you they were freaks. Oh, and they're kids, children, whippersnappers. Kids? So on that photo you erased, it was a boy, probably 2nd or 3rd grade. What? Rebel, 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 rebel. Order, order. Let me get this straight. You saw 2 people pass by the gate on their way to the studios that day? There was, one was the Steel Samurai dragging his leg, the other was a boy who looked to be about in the 2nd or 3rd grade. Ah yes, well, we see his types there every day. Can't stop him, can't catch him. A boy in 2nd or 3rd grade, I assume it would be hard, if not impossible, for our young boy to wield a samurai spear. Impossible, I'd think. It's quite heavy. Right, as I said, I didn't pay him much mind. That's why I erased the data. Nick, what's going on? I mean, the boy was there, but that makes him a suspect. Yeah, and they're already trying to unsuspect him. I'd like to take a 5-minute recess. I want the defense and prosecution to consider the new information. No forgetting vital information this time. Well, WP, yes? Tell me straight, were you really in your dressing room? You didn't go into the studio? Yes, I didn't go into the studio. I was sleeping, honest. So, was the Steel Samurai in that security photo? How should I know? The Steel Samurai costume was off in the corner of the dressing room. Anyone could have walked in and taken it, really. What? You should take better care of that stuff. I couldn't imagine why anyone would want to steal a Steel Samurai costume. So, where does this leave me? It doesn't look good. Sniff. You're the only likely suspect right now. Nick, what are we gonna do? First, we have to play for more time. We'll start targeting someone else that could conceivably have done this. Right. And it'll take them so long to shoot us down that we could get another day. Right. But we have to pick the wrong person. We might lose on the spot. That doesn't sound very optimistic. I'm not optimistic at all, actually. Hey, Nick. It's time. Okay, let's go. What does that mean? Please don't sound like that. Sniff. Rebel, 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 rebel. The court will now reconvene for the trial of Mr. Will Powers. Mr. Edgeworth, will you present the prosecution's thoughts on this matter? The prosecution's thoughts are simple. Nothing has changed. The other person who went to the studio was a boy, roughly 10 years of age. Photo we have may not be hard evidence, but there's still no one else who could have committed this crime. I call for a guilty verdict on the defendant, Mr. Will Powers. Very well, Mr. Wright, your thoughts? The defense disagrees with the prosecution's claim. There is another person who could have committed this crime. Order. Interesting. Let us hear who you have in mind. However, be aware, this court does not look kindly on accusing the innocent. If you accuse someone who is obviously innocent, you will be penalized. Right, great, as if the stakes weren't high enough already. Who is the person other than Mr. Powers who could have committed the crime? The security lady. It was the security lady, Wendy Oldbag. Who? A Steel Samurai is dragging his leg in the picture. That means whoever was in the suit knew about the morning's injuries. Maybe because they had been watching the action scene run through. There was only one person other than Powers and Hammer that knew about the injury. The security lady, Oldbag. What? Whippersnapper. Order, order. Is this true, Oldbag? Oldbag, that's Miss Oldbag to you. Mrs. Oldbag was standing alone at the main gate. She was by herself. In other words, she has no alibi. She could have briefly left her post to steal the samurai costume, and then slipped into the Studio 1, the scene of the murder. Why would she go through the trouble of wearing the Steel Samurai costume? Simple, Your Honor. She knew the camera at the gate would take her picture. If she was in his costume, she could point the finger at Mr. Powers. I see. Excellent deductive reasoning, Mr. Wright. Oh yeah, right here. Sherlock Holmes 2, baby. That's odd. Isn't this the part where Edgeworth pounces? Doesn't he usually jump up with an objection or some damning new evidence? Well, Mr. Edgeworth, what's the prosecution's opinion on this matter? The prosecution has no meaningful objections at this time. What? What's that supposed to mean? Oh, so you think I did it? Is that it? Edgy boy, don't just sit there, do something. What's my move? Maybe now's my chance to take this the whole way. Press further. The very same reasoning makes Mr. Powers a suspect in this case. It could be used to cast doubt on Mrs. Oldbag's actions that day. But why would I do something horrible to Mr. Hammer, to poor Mr. Hammer? You forget that Mr. Powers lacks a clear motive too. Indeed. That did it. Now Windbag is one of the suspects. No hard feelings, I hope. Wait just a minute. What about the other person who went to the studio? The boy, the one whose photo I erased. He's only a grade schooler, though just as you said, 2nd or 3rd grade, wasn't it? That doesn't matter. When I was that age, I could pin my old man in 10 seconds tops. What are your thoughts, Mr. Wright? The boy is not the killer. What? How can you be so sure? Or is it be nice to kids and mean to your elders day, whippersnapper? I have proof. Proof? Indeed. Then let's see this proof, Mr. Wright. You have the proof that shows the boy could have not committed the murder? I'm pretty sure it's still samurai. Spear. Your Honor, the murder weapon was the samurai spear. The very spear shown here in this photo. How could the boy have taken the spear? It's impossible. I see. Well, would the witness care to comment on this? The Windbag speechless. This has got to be a first. Very well. The court will suspend proceedings on the current trial for today. Mr. Edgeworth, please find more about your witness, Miss Windy was her name? Something Oldbag, Your Honor. The prosecution will look further into this. We'll look further into this Oldbag before we continue. This is all. Court is adjourned. Wait a second. I'm not just gonna sit here while you run off barking up the wrong tree, me. I'm talking. Oh great. Stop the presses. The Windbag wants to talk. Miss Oldbag, what is this all about? Have you omitted something from your testimony? Actually, if you must know, there's something I was told not to talk about. Not to talk about? By whom? You mean it wasn't Edgeworth who told her not to talk? Well, testify. Witness testimony, my lips were sealed. Global Studios wanted me to keep quiet about something. There were some other people at the studios on the day of the murder. They said they had nothing to do with it, see? So if they just pretend, so they told me to just pretend they hadn't been at the studios that day. If you're gonna go to accusing me, I'm not gonna let them get away scot-free. Miss Oldbag, this is critical information. Why did you keep this from the court until now? Ain't you been listening? They told me to shut my trap. I always do what I'm told. No, this isn't a bad dream, Your Honor. Witness the power of the Oldbag. Mr. Wright, your cross-examination. I don't think there's anything I can really cross-examine here. Alright, I don't think there's anything I can object to. You just gotta scream, hold it at her. So, you were told not to talk. That's right. The studio and TV by the studio and TV bigwigs, no less. Why didn't I hear about this? Don't be too hard on yourself, Sonny. We're all in on it. There were some other people on the day of the murder. In the studio the day of the murder. Who were these people? Well, the director and the producer for starters. The director? We should have known something was fishy. How could they have done a run through their action scene without the director? Of course. Yeah, well, I was surprised nobody asked about it. So, where were these people? The director was in the employee area all morning for the run-through. He joined the producer around lunchtime, and they had a meeting after that. Where? Oh, in the Studio 2 trailer. Studio 2? There was a Studio 2? If you look at the guide map, here it is. You gotta go through the gate, all the way to the left. The path where the monkey's head was fallen over. Well, Mr. Wright, would you like to continue your cross-examination? I think I've already asked all my questions, but no, we'll take a break. Your Honor, we have learned that there were others at Global Studios on the day in question. The director and the producer and some bigwigs were present. Yet, as we stand here, they have not been questioned. I hold that it is impossible to declare a verdict on the defendant, Mr. Powers. The court acknowledges the defense's point. The prosecution will gather more information about the witness, Miss Oldbag, and more information about these other people we've just been told of. I understand, Your Honor. This ends the day's proceeding in the trial of Mr. Will Powers. That is all. Court is adjourned. October 18th, blah-de-blah-de-blah. Thank you so much, Mr. Wright. I was right to ask you to defend me. Oh, really, it's nothing. Or should I sniff? Alright, anyway. We're going down to the studios to do some more investigation. We have to find out more about this director and producer. They'll be turning up in the next trial as witnesses for certain. Now's my chance to get material for the cross-examination. So Nick, have you figured out just who was in that Steel Samurai costume? Could it really have been Miss Oldbag? What do you think, Mr. Powers? I don't think it was her, really. Neither do I, Nick. Yeah, I know. Look, I was just buying time back there. Someone had to be the bad guy for a bit and take the pressure off Mr. Powers. Poor Oldbag, I kind of feel sorry for her. She wasn't winning any points out there, with or without my accusation. Okay, let's go down to the studios. Right, we'll be back to visit you soon. Thanks guys. Okay, to be continued. So, that's the end of the first part of the third case. And with that, I want to thank you guys for watching. This has been Joseph Viscerano Stellan, signing off for now. And I will see you guys later. Once I turn off everything.